What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and it is my pleasure to bring you the Matador files. This is kind of, I think it's funny. I think it's cute. The Matador files. Basically, these two players played a bunch. Matador and Kavoth played a bunch of games behind the scenes leading up to the Mythic Wars tournament, like finals, playoffs, and all the other stuff. They've also been scrim partners for the Clash of Immortals and a whole bunch of other games or tournaments and things like that. They're both two of the best players currently playing the game, and we get to see some of their behind the scenes training sessions now the tournament's over. And so I guess a huge shout out to Matador for sharing these. I did have some other people, some other top players share me recorded games from back in the day, but unfortunately every time I got my hands on them and had time to do them, a patch came and they got invalidated. I've always wanted to do this. I find this absolutely, how do I put it? I find it very, very interesting to see this type of gameplay, because this is where players, they're not scared there's no tournament pressure behind the scenes. They're not scared to try things. They're practicing ideas and seeing if things work or not, and they're not pulling these ideas out in the tournament. So even right now, we're going to watch this one. We've got Kavoth playing as Noir, and we've got Matador playing as Kronos. And these guys have literally got, I don't know exactly how many times they played this matchup beforehand, but I would guess that there's just not really much knowledge here from Matador, from Kavoth in this matchup. So they're probably just guessing and trying things. And whoever is kind of the closest to whatever is technically right is going to be winning in these sorts of games. Maybe they've played a whole bunch and this is what they think the meta is and they're just trying to perfect it or whatever. I really don't know. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to try and go from there. Let's check out some relics and just see if anything will have some influence. We've got the Ria's Crown over here. Down center being reduced. Up on the top side, we've got ourselves the Hecate's Torch here, which is going to be making the God Powers cost a little bit less. Still nothing too influential. Dwarven Calipers here is actually quite a big relic in this patch, especially for gods that can really pump out the siege. For example, Greek, China, and Egyptian. Grabbing this Dwarven Calipers is really nice. Because those siege weapons are pretty pricey, but if you take 20% off, it's kind of a big deal. And then finally, Kopesh of Horus. This one is a big deal here for Kavoth to pick up. So if Matador can deny that, it's also good for Matador to grab. If Matador can deny the Kopesh of Horus, have it for himself, that's going to give him some advantages with his Prometheus, which he wants to try here. He's gone up through Prometheus. He's already time shifted all through. And we are going to be seeing Juan Nu to come through for Kavoth. Now, this is what I think most people have realized is the meta for China at this point, or at least for Noir. You either go for Zhen Nu or you go for Chiyo if you're really trying to win. We didn't really see much how-to, and of the how-to we saw, I'm pretty sure it was pretty rough for them with that one from memory. Though maybe I'm misremembering. Nonetheless, we'll see what's going to be going on here. So, Temple in, Matador. I mean, if he runs in here with these Prometheans, he might be able to get a villager pick. These villagers are quite far from a sentry tower, but there is the Qualfa hero, there is going to be the Chillin, there is going to be the Pioneer, and he does grab the Dwarven Calipers, and he does also grab the Kopesh of Horus. So that's actually really, really big for Kavoth here. And Matador going to be spreading out. Unfortunately, he did not see the villagers here, so he doesn't know that just need to send the Prometheans right onto this position and get some pressure. But even so, there's also, if you do run in here, then all of a sudden there could be like some buildings getting thrown down, houses getting thrown down, you get locked in there and then you just lose everything. Deconstruction onto the temple here is the Prometheans going to be searching for the town center, as Kavoth is pretty much blindly, not blindly, but he's going for a town center here with only what is it, two oracles? He gets two oracles out? Not oracles, pioneers out. Two pioneers out. Should be enough to actually defend against these Prometheans, especially with the upgrade. And, I mean, maybe picking off one of these clay peasants is going to be nice. So we'll see if he's going to be able to do that. Nice dodges on the arrows here as he's going to be retreating out. And then the next part of the game is going to become. And it looks like Matador here is going to be trying the counter barrack stuff. Now, Kvothe sees this and says, all right, I got 2 town centers. I'm going to get watchtowers, and I'm going to get, I imagine crenellations is going to come through here very, very shortly. Now, Terma, these units, they do have high pierce armor, but they are considered a cavalry unit. So crenellations here will give these towers that 16 plus 1.5x. So maths does not help me. 24 damage, right? Onto those Terma. And the Terma do have, at base, they've got themselves 142 pierce armor. So you can divide the two together and see how long that's going to die in terms of time. And you can see that the crenellations is going to be coming through. So a little bit of damage here done from Matador. But the question is, what can he do next with all these units? He's got the Prometheans to come over and harass. There's no gold mines behind it. So there's actually a nice little position for him to actually attack. And the gold mine over here is actually quite open. So potentially here, an option here for Matador to continue this pressure would be to actually come in here. Does he know that the gold mine's in? He still hasn't managed to scout that, but he knows it's there because he's seen everything else. So he knows there's a gold mine here. But he also does need to put pressure over here. So how do you attack both positions at the same time? Well, the answer here for Kronos, as it's a little bit tough to kind of fully see, but the answer here for Kronos is actually to get towers and time shift forward into this spot. So you have to put all your units here, get the tower up, potentially also then time shift something in, and then you can come back up onto this spot and try and just lock it off. So if you can lock off both spots, then all of a sudden no gold for Kvothe and things get a little bit more spicy here. But he's not able to push in and grab this one, so it's looking like, I mean, even if he does, it's still going to be challenging because there's so many resources behind this base here for Kvothe to grab. As he's going to be getting himself these chillin'. One other big thing that happens when you get the second town center as a China is that all of a sudden you get yourself another huge amount of favor income. So every town center you get, every ballet you put down, it's a gigantic amount of favor income. The military camp, the houses, everything like this is not that much. But those big buildings like Town Center Ballet are going to get a huge amount. And the chillin' here are not costing any gold. So even if he does come in and knock this down a little bit, start putting pressure over here, there's still going to be chillin' coming out. There's still going to be these very, very cheap 10 gold Wuzu Javelineers coming through. So it's going to be a little bit challenging there as Matador does say, all right, I've done what I can here. I forced out some upgrades. Let me retreat back. Let me get my town center up and we'll go on from here. So after all is said and done, if we actually take a count of damage done versus like resources spent, watchtower, 300 resources, right? Is that right? Is it 250 or 300? I can't remember. 150. So 250 resources, and then crenellations 300 resources. So 550 resources spent. That's probably similar to what Matador made with these units. He's also got the Prometheans as well. These are still out, so he's going to have to keep putting pressure all over the place. So we'll see if he's going to be able to make anything happen here. Like these chillin' make life very, very challenging here. Huge damage from Kvothe there onto those Prometheans. Matador does get some resources back for those Prometheans, losing them though, so it's not all bad. Obviously not good though. And now we get into a little bit of a boom war as military barracks to come up. And ideally here, what Matador would love to do is prevent this gold mine from getting grabbed and prevent this gold mine from getting grabbed. But like I said, I think that the fact that these chillin' are here and this favor gather rate is so gigantic. You can see that Kvothe's actually struggling to produce with how much favor he's got coming in. Same too for Matador, but Matador's floating resources trying to go heroic age. But yeah, this is just Kvothe spamming chillin'. So these things are going to be really, really strong. And what Matador probably needs to do to deal with this is actually get into a full hero army, which should give him some sort of an ability to beat this army. We'll see if that's going to actually happen. As now that the army's out, Kvothe can very simply come through, secure his gold mine. So there's not really going to be any sort of pressure that can come onto that one. No real raids available here for Matador, unfortunately. due to the map. So even though he's got the speed mobility, he's not going to be able to use it. As the Chillin, well, these guys have got a lot of mobility, a lot of raiding potential as well. And they are going to be causing a lot of issues for Matador. But he does have only heroes out on this spot. So that's really smart. One non-hero, but he can heroize that with another Valor come the next couple of minutes or seconds. And he should be okay, as these units are all just moving up to the top side of the map. Not exactly sure what Kavoth is looking for, but he's looking for something. As a military barracks to come down. House to come down for Matador as well. And the waiting game sort of begins at this point, as both players probably going to be trying to get to that heroic age. I mean, we already see one heroic age coming through. Wow, a third town center from Kavoth here is a little bit wild. This probably this should give Matador the opportunity, maybe it's the wrong word, probably the opportunity to get forward here and actually get very aggressive with some palace sort of shenanigans, right? We'll see if that's what he's going to go for. Doesn't really have the wood income at the moment to go for it, but he's actually floating a lot of resources. It kind of looks like he's going to go into Cav at the moment. Lots of Contarius to come through with the current resource distribution he's got. Just waiting to unlock those units. And we do have Golmang coming through. So a very, very slight timing here available for Matador to slap palaces down into Kavoth's face at the moment. I think this is kind of the only sort of option that he has here. Spamming out units probably not going to be that useful, and we are actually going to be seeing this commitment into Contarius. I mean, to be completely fair, what else is he going to go for? This commitment into Contarius here getting immediately not countered, but he's kind of countered by going straight into Dow Swordsman. But he did go through Rusho. Oh, not Rusho. He didn't go through Rusho, so these aren't going to be super Dow Swordsman. You see Golmang though. So this one's going to come through, and this should be really, really strong. Really strong cavalry, right? For him. So he can go in for the super cavalry, put a ballet down here, put a ballet down over here. Both these gold mines will be incredibly safe. And for Matador to actually get anything done, he does have deconstruction though, so that's a big one. So but there are two positions here for him to need to kind of push through. It's now Matador looking to push in. Is he sending any citizens forward? Nope, he's just spending everything on units, trying to break in, trying to get some damage done. This town center here is pretty open for attack, but the question is, can he actually kill off these Chillin? He probably could if he'd stopped building units and he actually made a huge amount of heroes. If he picks off all of those Chillin, especially if they're out of position, you see 5.8 speed goes up to 6 point something. That could be absolutely gigantic. He comes through and gets a huge amount of damage onto those Satyr here. But basically, yeah, I think Matador needs to stop building units for a hot minute here, as there's the please don't attack me god power comes in. You cannot attack this. This is effectively Citadel on steroids. Citadel is an incredibly strong god power in its own right for defending a position, but this one here basically says unless you can kill this one in like, I don't know, maybe like let's call it 15 seconds. Unless you can kill this in 15 seconds, your opponent's going to be able to defend and kill you very, very quickly. So very tough to break through that god power there. So the only other option here for Matador now is to maybe place a palace over here and now start running over onto this side. Whereas Kavoth, he's already got this 100%, 110% protected. One deconstruction to come down. I wouldn't be surprised to see another ballet coming through anytime soon here. As the Hero Contarius are in now, so this is going to be some good damage onto the Chillin. Chaos is what I love, that Chaos there. He's going to be able to completely erase this. Vanish comes through a little bit on the late side there from Kavoth, but a great defense from Kavoth. He does lose a couple of Chillin, but man, against this, it's very, very tough to break through. There's two ballets, deconstruction available. He's going to have to use that, but he also needs to be careful, because if he just deconstructs it, then the Qualfu will put it back up in a second, so he can't go straight away. Meanwhile, Kavoth here charging through. He's got his army, he's got his ballet, he's got his population advantage, and it's looking like the army here of Matador is, simply put, not going to be able to do a whole lot here, and everything gets mowed down, and Matador needs to retreat back. Obviously not the right decision there to be trying to attack this position. 2 ballets, obviously way too much. And also the army as well, mind you. And also great control from Kavoth here, credit where credit's due. Keeps all of those chillin' alive, which effectively means he's going to be able to heal everything back up as well. So that's even more economic advantage for him to have here. This is one thing that, you know, oftentimes, this is one of the reasons why the chillin' is so good, right? You go, well, I can't really spam myth units as China because then I don't get my Quaofu. Now, Kavoth has got 4 Quaofu out, but these chillin', every time they're getting any amount of HP up, that's a big bonus for him, right? That's like, that's resources in the bank. And now the army to start moving across the map. Now going to be seeing that crenellations coming through. So the early game damage or whatever that Matador sort of went for kind of gets nullified because he has to buy it anyways at this point. And the palace in the center to come through. So this is the next game plan, I guess, from Matador. Maybe he should have gone from the very go instead of going for the town, going through this position here. But securing the center of the map and sort of just maybe putting pressure over to here and just saying, okay, these gold mines are secured. We'll give those, but we're going to play for this gold mine, and this gold mine, right? If we can lock off that position, then there's there's an angle for victory, so to speak. That being said, I don't know, because these guys obviously have played a whole bunch. Maybe they've tried that and it doesn't work. I don't know. But that's what sort of makes sense to me. As the military barracks to come down into the middle of the map. Another ballet to come up onto this side. Oracle going to get taken out over here. And the ballet spammage is well and truly in. Now, Kavoth needs this amount of ballet. Don't get me wrong. He absolutely needs this amount of ballet because he needs them to spam out these units. This is the main unit here that Kavoth wants to build. Now, Matador probably should be thinking, okay, he's going to be making calves, so let me go into catapultis here. But, I mean, equally so, spamming out the Contarius here isn't a bad move. Your opponent's got a whole bunch of Wuzu Javelin here, so it's not terrible. There's now the army to charge forward. Now, Kavoth fighting underneath the palace. Chaos comes through, and Matador tries his best here to get around onto the back. We are seeing this town center trying to get snuck up here, and that does mean that Matador can't actually continue fighting here. More units coming through. His army needs to come back in onto this spot. One thing here as well is, with all those chillin' in this fight, he's getting a huge amount of HP back during the fight as well. So he's able to stay underneath this palace for an extended period of time here. But even so, Matador does have himself a huge amount of units. He was hanging out in the palace for a long time with those Contarius, waiting, watching. Units up onto this side, getting distracted away. And it looks like here in the end, Kavoth does come out slightly in front from that engagement. And he stops a couple of units and then bails. However, Mythic Age has come through now for Matador, so he did have... That was a bit of a timing there for Kavoth. He really had that timing, but he's about to be... Actually, no, he's got so many resources in the bank. Probably should be in well and truly to the Mythic Age as well, but a little bit... Playing China, I've always find this the case. Playing China, macro is insanely difficult. Like having your economy like sorted out, and it kind of makes me feel a little better seeing Kavoth struggling here as well with my own gameplay. But like I've had this much wood many times, this much food many times with China. Nonetheless, still taking these fights. Let's do a little armory check as Implode getting dropped down. These White Horse Cavalry have got 200 HP, so Implode actually not going to be that useful against them. 209 HP means they'll go down to 109 HP. It does 100 divine damage to each of them. So not the best usage right there. There's now the siege to come through. The question, another ballet. Probably a misplaced ballet to some degree, but a safe one. Now we can ballet creep in to this position, and then he can set his siege up here and start sieging down the palace. There's both players charging into the middle. These Argus do a huge amount of damage if their special pops off onto those units there, onto the enemy units. But unfortunately, I think for Matador, Kavoth pulled back nicely. Now we are seeing a couple of catapulties into the mix, but after all is said and done here, these are castle units. White Horse Cavalry. They are teched up castle units with Nuwa and Golmang. So you basically, even though Matador's got champion Cav, he's got a little bit less upgrades all around, so it's kind of equal to some degree. Those unique upgrades really, really turn the tides there. And now Kavoth can start tower pushing in here as well. He's got all the resources in the world to do this. Both players on full upgrades. Let's see the economic upgrades. Matador's got his mythic upgrades. And Kavoth obviously not in the mythic age just yet. So he doesn't have all of them. But Matador just not able to quite secure this position after everything that's happened in this game. Now the town center for Kavoth to come through. I imagine there's going to be some siege to come in. One thing here, Matador does have the Fire Siphon. He is in the Mythic Age, so the Fire Siphon is in. This is a siege pushing unit. I actually think it is unironically pretty good. It's got 18 range. It's not crazy like the Petropolis or the Catapult, but it is pretty good. So he does manage to stop the town center. Matador charges in onto this position. 2 towers here, helping out quite a bit. Population advantage in a big way, though, for Kavoth. So this is not going to be able to be working, but Matador needs to try and make something happen here to stop the position from falling or getting secured from Kavoth. And Matador, unfortunately, not able to crack the China here with his Chronos. It's an interesting one. Like this, obviously this attack here is an attack that you just simply can't go for. But let's wind back to the very beginning where maybe some strategic ideas for specifically Chronos. This isn't going to work for Aranos or for Gaia, but specifically Chronos on that early game aggression is, number one, your opponent is going to go into Watchtower's crenellations anyways. So if you go into that, you're basically equal, right? That's sort of an idea. So we can say if our opponent goes for Watchtowers, let's go for Watchtowers. If our opponent goes for Kren, we can grab Kren. We might not even need to grab Kren, mind you. But maybe there is an angle here for Chronos to do some sort of a tower time shifting thing such that the home gold mine, which is exposed here, this was not well defended by Kavoth. The home gold mine here could get tower rushed. Make sure that you're putting buildings in front first and then a tower behind the building such that you can't just walk forward and shank it down. Maybe you leave a Promethean or something around there on patrol so that no villagers can get in there ever without taking significant damage, while also putting pressure over here and then also putting pressure over here. So buildings or whatever. And then you're going to be able to constrict. So maybe, just maybe that works. I don't know. Maybe Matador's tried it and it's just like, well, you're just going to lose to XYZ. I don't know. But that's one idea here. I guess the next thought would be, what would happen if Matador doesn't try and take this fight here? Realistically, he wouldn't have to rebuild the army. Let's see how much he actually lost on that fight. So he was 5,100, drops down to 2,150 or 2,200. So that's like 3,000 resources. So 600. You probably get 5 palace up. Something like that. So if we go ahead and say, okay, we can get 5 palace up instead of taking that fight. Maybe, wait, how much does Kavoth lose actually? That's an interesting thing as well. So Kavoth goes from 5,000-ish down to 3,500. So this is 1,500 resources. So the differential here was, I can't do math, 1,500. So you could get 2 palace, two and a bit palace down. So maybe a palace here and maybe a palace in here, right? Locking. You've got this one locked with this palace. Lock this one off over here with the palace here. Lock this one off with the palace over here. And maybe you hold. The problem then would be, do we see the Mythic Age coming through faster if he doesn't lose these resources? Maybe. Maybe not. Didn't actually get Mythic Age completely in this game. He said, I'm going to just hang out in the Heroic Age and just spam stuff. So I think that has to be the angle to go for. Maybe. That's my guess. So if you're if you're playing Atlantean and your opponent's going to be going for this defensive play and you can't get that tower rush off, say it's the gold mines at the back or something and you can't get that off, maybe massing the units like Matador does to get the pressure, get the situation, and then starting to put the ballets or the castles down. I guess my other problem here is, and maybe this is why Matador goes for the fight, is because if he doesn't go for the fight, Kavoth is going to start going, well, okay, you're not coming for the fight. I go Mythic Age super early and I don't build any units anyways, right? If you don't put the pressure in. So that's another sort of, obviously a worry in the back of Matador's mind here. And if we go for Palace into Mythic Age, but Kavoth hits the Mythic, or the Noir hits the Mythic Age first here, I guess you have to be poking and just guarantee, like, you can't fight, but you have to ensure that he is like behaving, quote unquote, behaving, and not like cheesing out a Mythic Age, which is a little bit tough to know. Because then there's also the problem of, well, I didn't lose any units, but now I'm going to lose my entire army to Gong Gong plus forest protection. Anyways, an interesting game. Would have liked to see what would have happened, I guess, if Matador did actually pressure this gold mine a little bit more. You obviously can't deny the second town center here with like Noir, because Noir's got the hero citizen, so it kind of shuts down the early myth units anyways. Also a couple of pioneers is more than enough. But then on top of that, also there's the creation god power. So the only way to deny this is to be here when it starts and start knocking it down with the Prometheans while dodging. Anyways, GG. Hope you guys are enjoying the El Matador files, and we'll move into the next one.